and welcome to Ringtalk episode 147. I'm joined again by the full Goodwin crew. How are we, gentlemen?
All good. What a show last weekend, which we're going to come on to in a minute.
Yeah, we'll come on to that. Absolutely banging
and we're
show.
honoured by Josh being here.
Yeah, well, he was here last week.
Yeah, I was here last week.
But he nearly missed today.
He nearly didn't make it. Yeah,
I did oversleep.
Yes, recording later than normal because Josh couldn't pull himself out of his pit.
I blame Steve. He's working me too hard.
That is true, March. He is grinding us into the ground. Right, we've got quite a lot to get to. We've got a preview, review. We've got the predictions league. Let's start with that. Last week we picked Yoka versus Takam for the predictions league of the thing. I went for Yoka by stoppage. Josh went Yoka by stoppage. You went Yoka by points. Everybody that predicted picked Yoka in some shape, shape or form, and Takam won. So nobody got any points.
Huge upset, to be fair.
I mean, can we just talk about that? We talked about it a little bit off air, just very quickly. I don't spend too long on it. Olympian turned
drug cheat coming off drugs, maybe.
Beaten by a...
I just think he's a bit like just another. It's France's version of Wardley Harrison, really, isn't it?
Is that what you think it is? That's a really good analogy.
Even if the Joe Joyce win in the Olympics was very debatable. Even if you call him a silver medalist, if you're going to downgrade it because you might have got lucky there. A silver medalist not beating Carlos, a 45-year-old
42.
Carlos, yeah, 42-year-old.
Oh, that makes it much better.
42-year-old Carlos Takam that has lost to most. He's good fighter, but loses to
the higher level, absolutely, yeah.
So I think an Olympian should be beating Carlos Takam, especially when they're quite far into their career. Now, the Olympics were 7 years ago now, so
he's finished now. Yoka done, dusted.
Takam's not. Well, I can see Takam now being rolled out in another big fight.
Takam is a warrior, and to be fair, he deserves it. And to be honest, I'm glad boxing's got rid of Yoka.
Yeah, I mean, Takam's 42.
We don't want drug cheats.
I don't know, 42 years old and putting in performances like that.
I can say 42 years old and being an Olympian. I'm 40 and I get up twice in the night to go for a piss.
I was saying to Kev, though, sorry, on the subject, that I think boxing is the only sport that you sometimes see people who are getting older and older and older just keep getting better and better and better.
That is a podcast another day. Maybe we'll talk about that next week. But that is a thing we see in boxing. You see in no other sport that, as you say, we discussed it, that, people get older but get better. It's a strange thing. So the predictions league, John Bailey's still out in front because no one got any points. Did you just boo him then?
Yeah, on a win.
And again, I've forgotten his name again. Is in second. I think it's Stefan, but I could apologies. It's beyond the screen.
Steve Tiffin, isn't it?
Steve Tiffin. That is Steve Tiffin. Yeah. You're right. I knew it was something. I said Stefan. Steve Tiffin is in second.
But it's not going to last. It's not going to last.
So let's talk about the prediction this week. On TV, there's no
it's rubbish.
Competitive fight per se.
Who's on TV? What shows are there?
It's the Eddie Hearn show. It's headlined by Cyrus Pattinson against Chris Jenkins.
Where is that?
Newcastle. And I actually think the fun fight will be the heavyweight Solomon Dakers against the other guy who come up from.
I see the face-to-face from him.
I mean, that'll be fun, but he's going to win. I mean, but there's nothing there that you can. That it's so obvious who's going to win the fights, and there's no point having a prediction league with something so obvious.
So
we're going to have to resort
to a fight on our show.
Yeah.
So one of our fights coming up this weekend. The main event per se is, or one of the main events, co-main event is Denis Denikachev defends his super lightweight Southern Area title against Tom Ansell. Both guys we know very well, both really, really good guys. Dennis is with us, Tom used to be with us, but still great to deal with. That's the one you're putting up this week, Steve, is the predictions league. So
because I think they had the other one, Murga Walker, they fought before, so I wanted to do this fight because this may divide opinion.
Absolutely. Both camps extremely, extremely confident. So let's throw it out to you two and to us, first of all. So Denis Denikachev versus Tom Ansell. Josh, who are you going for?
I'm going for Denis Denikachev by a stoppage. I want to give myself a bonus point if I get it right between round 7 and 10.
Okay, so you're going for round 7 and 10. So you're going late stoppage.
Apologies to Tom and his trainer Tony. I like you both, and I think it will be a good fight, but I think Dennis will just have a little bit too much.
Okay, so you're going Denikachev by stoppage.
I think that Dennis wins.
Yep.
And by the way, and I'm not saying it just because of that fight. I genuinely think he wins. We wouldn't have made the fight if we didn't think he wins, but we can always be wrong. We can always be wrong. It's a great fight.
50-50.
Tom Ansell is super tough. He's
fit.
He's very fit, very good, and he performed really well against Sajidabid, only going down by 2 points. And Sajidabid has come out now and beat Mikey Saki in the final eliminator, so it shows you how well he did in that fight. But I think Denis Denikachev has got too much. Now, Josh has gone for the knockout, and I can see why. He dropped Lee Hallett. Nobody drops Lee Hallett, right? He finished ID Hill with an amazing left hook. He has got the power to cause chaos. But I think Tom is super tough. I would say that I don't think you stop Tom with a sledgehammer. I think Tom gets the distance. But I go for Dennis to win a round, and I'm going to sort of get a bonus point. And I'm even going to say 98-94.
I can't believe we're going bonus points. You cheat if it
needs to catch up.
There's no bonus points.
I'm going for Dennis by points.
I'm the chairman and CEO of this league. So.
Yeah, you are the creator. I'm going to go for Dennis by points. I actually think it will be quite close to start off with. I can see a stoppage. I could see that it could be. I wouldn't be surprised by that. I just think Dennis will have too much over the rounds. But
let's go back. It's a really good fight. If you were independent and Tom won, nobody would say that's a shock.
Absolutely not. It's a proper fight. Both camps are aware of that, aren't they?
I'm not going into that 100% confidence, but if I had to make a prediction, that's what I think. Tom's a very good fighter, so it wouldn't surprise me if it goes the other way. It's a really close fight.
Absolutely. Predictions league, you need to make a prediction.
Exactly.
So we're going Denijek points, and Denijek stoppage. We'll come more talk about that fight.
So don't forget, if you email...
Yeah. Email info@goodwinboxing.co.uk. That's the only way you can register, so make sure you do that. Also, if you've got any questions for us, we've had a couple of questions come in via the email as well this week. Some people have sent their questions in on their predictions, so if you've got any, then please let us know. Info@goodwinboxing.co.uk. If you want to submit your predictions for this weekend, Denis Denijek versus Tom Ansell, let us know who wins and by what point. On that note, one of the people that is in the predictions league, Tim Brown, his question is, why are people fighting for Southern Area and English titles earlier now? 5 or 6 fights generally for the Southern Area and 6 or 7 fights for the English. Can you explain a little bit about how many fights or long a boxer has to have been licensed before fighting for these titles? So theoretically, in the UK, if they ever had someone like Loma winning 2 golds in the Olympics, could they fight for a British on their debut? So, who wants to answer that question? Josh?
I can't answer for the board. I'd imagine they wouldn't let someone fight from their debut. I think if Lomachenko came out, done a 10 round in his debut, I think they'll probably allow it in his second fight potentially. In terms of Southern Area, it depends on the day and the weather really, and how many fights they need and
who else is there at the time as well.
Yeah, exactly. I'd say the general rule of thumb, you need minimum of 5 to 6 fights usually for a Southern Area. British is usually over 10 fights, and English somewhere from 7 fights onwards, I'd say.
Yeah.
But it is flexible. There's no set rule. Again, depends on what the weather's like. And
it also depends. It really depends on when you go in the lighter weights. There's a lot less to choose from.
Sure.
Definitely at area level. So I think you just move quicker.
Yeah.
And when you go to the higher weights, maybe cruiserweight, there's again a lot less. When you go to the middling weights, welter, light middle, you tend to have boxers with many more fights than that, and that tends to be governed by the amount.
You say that, but then who's the mandatory? The mandatory for the potentially super middle has only had 5 fights.
Yeah, that's. I mean that.
Yeah, it is. It has been about that, isn't it?
But that is dependent on how the committee or the person in charge of the committee feels at that point with that particular title.
Yeah. In terms of Tim, to answer your question about theoretically someone wins 2 goals with the air to fight for the British on debut, I don't think the board would ever allow that. I think they'd at least want you to have a.
I think someone like Lomachenko had said the 110 round to beat the international fight.
I think it might be the third. I think they might let him do a 6, they might let him do a 10 and then go for it. Who knows? But yeah, theoretically it wouldn't be in the debut. They are fighting earlier now. Southern areas are coming 5 and 6 when it used to be 10 and 12 years ago, and Englishes are coming a bit earlier, used to be 15, 16. Is there part of that?
There's not the opponents.
No, yeah, there's not the opponent. Is it partly to do with ticket selling and promoters, do we think? Because, obviously, if you've had 5 or 6 fights, you've sold tickets 5 or 6 times to your fan base, is there a thing where promoters, we look for that title a bit earlier because we need something to help them sell?
Definitely on small hall, we see, don't we, that after the third or fourth fight, the ticket sales tend to drop quite considerably, especially if you're just fighting the bog standard.
Unless your name is Billy Stanbury.
Unless your name is Billy Stanbury.
I'd say generally. Yes, I think it's one way to get a buzz back around you again with all your supporters, and also the fact that you look back, you go back to like mid 2000s. You see most people get 15 fights before they fight anyone with a pulse. They're just not the opponents to do that nowadays. So the boxing scene now is completely different to what it was even pre-COVID.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think people have to move on quicker because there's nothing else to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's that. Obviously, they've done away with the Masters titles and then the Challenge titles after that. That was something you used perhaps 5 or 6 instead of the Southern areas, but as a thing you sort of pulled it down because of the need to. And also you get fighters get 5 fights, they want to go for titles, don't they? Almost 5, 6 fights, they're looking for titles then anyway, so it's partly driven by.
But as a manager you have to be careful. Dennis Denikajev, for example, only fought for the Southern area on his 10th fight.
Yeah.
Now we've built him to 10, 9, so we didn't let him go till 10 because it is right to build fighters at the right pace. Now, sometimes you can come in and win. I mean, William Webber, I think he won his on 9th or 10th. That's perfection, because the problem that you have from a management perspective, you come out and win the title in fight 5, 5, 6. You might be there too early. And then what do? Do you step back? You don't want to be forced into fights you're not ready for. So it is a very delicate. This is where the skills of a boxing manager comes in, is how to navigate a fighter to do that, but not push them too quickly where they get beat. And I'm not going to give names and other fighters where I've got plenty of them where it's all gone wrong because they've done it wrong. But that's not, I wouldn't criticise, I would concentrate on we do. We don't tend to get that wrong.
Yeah.
But, that's really the importance of when you go, how you go is crucial.
Absolutely. And one thing we always say, never fight a British level fighter for a Southern area title. You never want to fight someone that's much above the
belts aren't for being bold,
no.
Keeping. They are for winning, and then when something is presented that makes no sense, you don't hold the belt anymore.
Absolutely. So hopefully that answers your question, Tim. We had a question from Callum Wright. We talked about it a little bit before, but saying, seen a lot of cancelled show in the UK. Can you explain why this is happening? So we've seen some shows being cancelled. What's the reason for it? We've touched on it a couple of times beforehand. We have seen an awful lot of shows being cancelled up and down the country. Steve, what's the main reasons for this?
Well, it's hard to ask somebody that doesn't cancel shows, but it's got to be money. It's got to be the fact. It's hard to promote, right? So we have a theory, and we have a policy for us and all of our franchisees who work with us, that they are not to cancel shows.
Yeah.
If, for example, we end up, which we did 2 weeks ago, with 6 fights on a card, nearly all other promoters I know, nearly all, and there is one exception, and I've got to come onto that in a second, would cancel the show because they're losing too much money. The right thing to do is to accept it, wipe your mouth and say, I'm not going to let those guys down. Now, I want to, by the way, when we're talking about people, I don't want to talk about the negative side, I want to talk about the positive side. Dean White promoted a show on Sunday. He went down from 10 fights to 4 fights, and he still ran it.
Yeah.
So hats off to Dean.
Yeah.
The that's the proper way to behave, and I will give him full props and credit. Yeah. That doesn't happen generally, and everybody else out there, as far as I'm aware, have cancelled shows or multiple shows, and it all just goes quiet. But that is not right, and it's not right for the boxers. Yeah. But if you are a boxer turning over, you want to check the cancellation rate of shows.
Trouble is, that's not documented anywhere, isn't it? Because
No, it's
some
not.
promoters don't put out and say they've
And
cancelled.
then they
the show.
hide it, and they hope it hides. But ask boxers who are with them if they'd cancelled shows. Do research, because this is really common, and it's important not to. But the people cancel. The bottom question was, why do they do it? They do it because they want to stage shows when they are not losing money.
Sure.
And don't want to stage shows.
Partly you can understand, right? I don't want it to be just razzing on promoters here. Promoting's hard, isn't it, in terms of...
But if you're going to be a promoter and you're going to get people to train for 6 weeks for a fight, you have a duty to deliver that fight if they keep their part of the bargain.
Of course, but if you're running Arsenal, but obviously particularly we stay around obviously the London area mainly, but when you have promoters run shows up and down the country, there's only so many shows you can afford to allowed to be cancelled without basically going out of business. So
sure.
At some point, you're going to have to put a business head on.
But can I tell you what happened? Shows. Steve Wood and I think it was Kevin Merry had a show. I think it's this week. It's this week. And both shows collapsed. So they've merged their shows together.
Yeah.
Right? Full credit to both of them for doing that. But there are too many that just pull the shows because they know they're losing money and don't care.
Yeah.
And then they try, and then it's hushed up, kept quiet, not advertised, and people trying to keep the image that they don't, but they do. And that is not fair to those boxers that have trained. So that's my view on cancer.
No, but there are some promoters that we know out there that are worse than others. I'm saying they're not.
Sure.
No one's got an unlimited amount of money, so it's not. At some point.
But if you cancel 2 shows in 6 months, and there's loads that have, their license should be, in my opinion, should be suspended for 6-month periods. Stop them doing it.
Yeah, no, but again, circumstances do matter. If they had a 6-fight card.
Yeah, well, what do we think some of these circumstances are? We talk about cancelling money and obviously fights falling out. And again, I don't want this to be, because promoting's hard. One of the things I always moan about is everyone slags everyone off in boxing. That's trying not to.
But we're not slagging anyone.
No. But as in terms
of praising those that are doing the right thing.
It's easy to always razz on promoters, but it is obviously, as Callum said, there is a lot. Is part of these circumstances doing it lack of opponents for it? Is this one of the main reasons for happening?
We've had it ourselves a lot over the last few weeks. You get an opponent pull out on the week, and before bringing in foreign boxers costs probably tripled since COVID.
It's crazy, yeah.
It's
how many?
Affordable.
Realistically, 4 shows. We've probably got the chance of losing 1 fight in 4 shows because of that. We have been able to find...
Yeah, but we lost it. We went down to 6.
Yeah, we went to 6.
Yeah, but we didn't lose those fights because of lack of opponents.
We're talking about one of the reasons.
Because boxers
you can't that's still a reason, Dad.
Yeah. That's what I'm trying to get to.
It's because people don't want to spend the extra money on the opponents.
That's part of it. But sometimes there isn't someone there. You can't magic someone out, I think. What are some of the others?
Enough to collapse card. What I'm saying is over 4 cards.
No, but
over 4 cards. Hold on. Over 4 cards, there is possibly 1 fight that we cannot match. Now, and that has included this week. We've had 2 pullouts on fight week.
Yeah,
we still somehow managed to recover it with a lot of help from some good people.
Sure,
but we've been able to save it. What I'm saying is, you don't get 1 card and unable to match 5 fights.
That's not what.
That's not
what we're saying.
No, we're just saying is lack of opponents one of the consequences that causes cards to collapse?
I think
it's a
contributing
factor. So then, what's one of the other factors then?
Just general injuries. We know. Well, look, we know we can start with 15, 16 fights. We end up with 6. We've had that multiple times.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm trying to
happen.
Obviously we know this because we're on the
we still run.
Sure, but this is what I'm trying to get. Obviously, Callum's question is that. Trying to get to the reasons of why. That's what I was trying to talk about as well.
You get home boxers.
Yep.
That have and this is hard. They've got to sell tickets, right? So some of them can't sell the tickets, so they fake an injury. They say they're injured when they're not. Mm-hmm. That's number 1. Number 2 is genuine injuries to the home fighter. Number 3 will be. There may be a situation where you can't match a fight because the opponent pulls out last.
For example, you have 2 title fights. Annoyingly, 2 of them get injured out of the 2 title fights. You can't rematch the title fights.
And we've had it before, yeah, absolutely.
We've had it before, so that's 2 fights.
But you run the undercard.
Sure,
okay,
sure.
So we're doing a show in a small town somewhere. I don't know.
Dunstable. Luton.
By the way, can I just come back and cancel shows? I don't think it happens from Midlands up to North very often. I think they find a way.
No,
the cancelled shows happen in the South.
Okay, it doesn't really matter. The point is, we're having it in a random town somewhere in the middle of Biggleswade. There we go.
Yeah, okay.
We've got a show.
Tom Ansell's Biggleswade.
Yeah, we've got a show in Biggleswade. No disrespect, Tom. And then we're running a show there. Tom's our top of the bill. We have 4 fighters from Leighton Buzzard, Milton Keynes, Dunstable, Luton. So we've got call it a 5-fight card. Tom's the big ticket seller that runs, is keeping the show going. He pulls out injured, so we lost our top of the bill and our biggest ticket seller. And another one of the other lads pulls off due to another injury. You're down to 3 fights then. You cannot be charging £50.
But can I say, I don't. By the way, if that happened, I understand that fight. I understand that problem. I am talking about York Hall.
Yeah.
I'm talking about London venues. I am talking about venues in the South East.
Context matters.
It does, yeah.
So let's rephrase then. Cancelling shows other than very small cards in small venues is unacceptable.
Sure.
That's what. So
I know that's one thing.
I do accept that. Somebody's doing a 5-fight. If we did a 5-fight card in Dunstable, and it was headlined by Linus Udofia fighting for an English, British, Commonwealth title, and he was the top of the bill, and we had Kay Prosper making a comeback for an English title on the card, and we had Brad Pauls, number 3, who was fighting. We got him to do it, and we had 3 on the undercard, and you lost all 3 top fights. You can't run.
No.
In that example, you can't.
I still think we probably would.
Probably would.
But I also, with context again, it's not knocking other people. I know, Steve, for you, and I know me and Josh are trying to add some context there, but I know for you that is a real bugbear for you when promoters cancel shows. So I know that's why you're a bit passionate about it. I know why you speak about it. I know that is one thing you insist to us all the time, and the promoters that work under you, us as a team, and promoters that work under you is we can't cancel the show. And
we don't. I always say it, and I say it again. We don't get enough credit. While these others are just bullshitting the boxers as to why they should sign with them, we just get on with our job and we deliver, mm-hmm. And that pisses me off as well.
Sure, I know you're passionate about that. I do know that is.
What you're already good as a manager and a platform for boxers, you give stability. There's nothing about it. Shows 99% of the time go ahead.
We talked about this before. I don't think he was there. I was saying to your dad that we're not a sexy brand. Right, as in we're not the slick, fast car, hot girls.
Talk about yourself.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? But in terms of that,
look at me.
We're not right. We're not the sexiest brand out there. Do you know what I mean? We're not the glitz and glam. Like I say, we've not got the fast cars, the pretty women or whatever. Do you know what I mean?
My SD.
Hold on. My wife's all right.
Yeah, you know what I mean. I'm just talking, thing. But in terms of what we are is reliable, sustainable. Honest, and we'll do what we say we're going to do. And like I say, that we won't go out and do loads of statuses about it and stuff like that. Part of that is because we're busy, because we run other businesses that are successful as well. But hopefully, Callum, that answers some of your questions. Again, not an attack on promoters. Promoting's hard, and that does highlight how difficult it is. Again, I think sometimes boxers and fans don't realise how hard promoting is, and it is incredibly difficult. But talking about shows, we had a show last week, but one special mention to Adam Thorne, who did our commentary, which the fights aren't out yet. Hopefully I'm going to get some of them out today, although that won't have Adam on it yet, unless you want them ones up first, but I'll talk to you about that afterwards.
Get the Sajid one up on our rewatch down.
But mind you, we missed the first 3 rounds of the Sajid fight. We only literally just start just as Sajid gets knocked down. But so we had the card at the weekend. Fantastic card. BoxMania 4, one of the best cards. It was pucker.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah, it was brilliant. So let's go down the card just quickly. We'll start with the title fight. So let's start with the end of the card. So Lewis Finn versus Conor Adaway. That was for the Southern Area Featherweight title. What a fight!
Yeah, there's not really much else to say. It was obviously, I think everyone ringside had it. Depending on who you spoke to, had it to a different person. I had Frimpong by 1 round personally. Mm-hmm. I think you had it a draw.
I had it a draw.
Would you have it?
I had it by Lewis. I think I had it 1 or 2 rounds ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the ref had a bit wider than everyone else. I thought a bit harsh on Conor for me. I think 98-94 was it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what, and he's actually only giving Conor 2 rounds of winning the 2 draws. So I think that's a bit slightly harsh, but at the end of the day, the referees, I think the right man won. I thought the scorecard was slightly too wide for me. But it's a terrific fight. I thought it was really close. Frimpong was just absolutely relentless. And I tell you what, whoever he fights, they're in for an absolute nightmare.
Absolutely, yeah.
I actually think that Lewis Frimpong could be a little star. I know he's getting on a bit, and without thing, but I think he's got a good couple of years in him. But I do genuinely think, he is going to be an absolute living nightmare, and he will improve for the Conor Hathaway fight.
Absolutely,
because he's done that once. He's now going to do it again, and he knows he's done 10 hard rounds. He's going to be even more relentless, and whoever he fights is going to be bullied, pushed, and pushed back. Now, so full credit to Conor Hathaway, who was fighting 2 weights above his natural weight as bantamweight, who came into his first 10-rounder, and he ended up with a broken rib. Full credit to him, because I think he's also a future star.
Definitely.
In the bantamweight division.
Definitely.
He will walk through the bantamweight division, because he'll be fighting, if you think about it, of a weight of 8 pounds lower than he fought on Saturday.
You can see that at points, like Lewis was just so
too strong.
Yeah.
But Lewis would be too strong for most featherweights. And I was speaking to Andy Gill the other day, his trainer, and he thinks he can get down to super bantam. So, I mean, you are talking about a machine.
It's super bantam,
and he's going to be a monster. And I think we've got some. I'm going to say, I haven't actually worked out the next move yet. Normally, I wanted to get that out of the way and give myself a couple of weeks, but then I'm going to sit down and work out the next move for Lewis. For Conor, he'll be a champion by the end of this year, without a doubt. And I'll actually predict at bantamweight he'll be a British champion.
Yeah.
So I just think there are two brilliant fighters who put it all on the line early in their career, and they both deserve utmost credit. Yeah. But the best is still to come from both.
Absolutely. Yeah, I scored a draw. I did miss one round that I gave to Conor that I didn't see, as I didn't score it. Or I was there, but I was watching. I was talking, so I missed one of it. So I just scored that to Conor. But yeah, it was mixed at ringside. I think most at ringside had it to Lewis. I know a couple. I know in going into round 8, Boxing News had it level. Some of the board members had Hathaway winning, some had Frimpong winning, so it was one of those fights, wasn't it, in terms of that. Credit to both. If you're not following these guys on Instagram, stuff like, give them a follow. They deserve the utmost respect, as Steve said. Fantastic performance from both of them, both absolute credits to the sport and themselves, great gentlemen, so please make sure you keep an eye out for them. Again, I say Hathaway will be back, Frimpong will go on to bigger and better things. One of the other fights, eliminators, we had English super lightweight final eliminator. We had Mikey Saki versus Sajid Abid. Again, just a cracking fight, absolutely fantastic. It was Sajid that got his hand raised in the end. I think we're 2 rounds, I believe, on the night. I thought it was a bit wider than that. It was dropped in the 4th or 5th round. Sajid quite heavily, went down quite heavily, but recovered quite quickly. But again, a fantastic fight.
Yeah, to be honest, the way Sajid went down, I thought it was fight over from where I was sitting. They just bounced, got up, took his time, really professional, but you don't see enough in professional boxing.
No.
If a boxer ever gets knocked down, they should do exactly what Sajid does, and not many of them does it. So any new boxers watching it, go watch that round, see how he acts, and that's how a professional should act.
Absolutely. Laid on the floor for a couple of seconds, got up to his knee, wait a few seconds, looking at the referee, didn't it? Just absolutely not. Pride's hurt, quickly jump up as soon as you can, just literally, and it pays dividends because he recovered. And
he shows how fit. I thought Sajid won probably slightly wider than the scorecard. Boxed terrifically, quick hands. I thought Mikey Saki, I thought that's maybe more in his performance. I feel like I was just waiting for him to get going, let his hands go, but it just didn't come. But Sajid boxed really well, was the rightful winner.
Yeah, just moved. Again, so Sajid was the busy. If you hadn't seen the fight, you need to go and watch it. Unfortunately, we do miss the first couple of rounds on the video, but just busy. Just never let Saki sit into a rhythm.
Sajid won those rounds that you're not seeing, but yeah, I mean, look, he's a worthy. I'll talk about Mikey in a minute, but Sajid, you know, he's done it the hard way. He's come down to fight Tom Ansell. He's come down to fight Mikey. And you know he's done really well, and he has just been an unbelievable progression in his career, and he's done fantastic. So full credit to him, worthy winner. Mikey Saki didn't throw.
Yeah,
did not throw enough. Spoke to Mikey. We spoke about it this week, and we were talking to Mikey about what we're going to do next. And I said to him, I don't want to put you back in a 10-round title fight on the back of that.
Yeah.
Because I need to see that you're throwing. So what I want to do, and I've just done the opponent now, put him in a 6-round fight with somebody who's going to throw a lot, so that he can actually demonstrate he's going to throw the shots that he needs. Because Sajid won, he won wide, but that was not the best Mikey Sacchi.
Sure.
And I think there's no doubt about that. It was probably...
was that part of the gameplay? Was it
I would say
partly
Sajid,
not letting him
yes.
settle?
Sajid kept throwing, moving. So, by the way, because I'm saying he didn't throw, Sajid was responsible for a lot of
Sure.
that. But...
And I was also speaking to Arfan during the fight, and he actually done some sparring with him a little while ago. And he said for someone his size, he can really punch, Jid. So
yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. It's fast, it's just sharp, Sajid as
Yeah.
well, very quick. What he did do well was sometimes moved away, sometimes went in, really disrupted the rhythm
Really
of
good.
Sacchi.
But Mikey needs to, because he also had a fight before last when he fought Lee Halliot, and I said to Mikey, he didn't throw in that either,
Yeah.
right? So we've got to get him back.
He's had long periods out, hasn't he, Mikey Sacchi? It's just
And
now
that's what he
getting the
said.
momentum
That's
back a
what he
little
says,
bit,
what
isn't
he
it? Yeah,
feels. So
absolutely.
that's why I didn't want to go back in for 10 next. I
Yeah.
want him to do a 6, and then we'll go back to 10.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we've chatted. Mikey Sacchi will be out on the 24th of June, and I think you'll see a much improved performance, because Mikey Sacchi has plenty left for him.
Yeah,
plenty
so
of
there's
titles
definitely
left
more
for
to
him.
come for him, for
But
sure.
I mean, we've got some very, very good super lightweights.
Absolutely. And Sajid, obviously, fantastic performance. That was the final eliminator for the English. He now goes on. Lucas Ballingall is the English champion at the moment. So his next fight will now be against Lucas Ballingall. Well, actually,
Possibly.
I think he's fighting locally.
He's fighting locally first, but yeah, yeah.
But in terms of his next,
Obligation.
yeah, a title fight per se will be for the English title. Done fantastic. Let's say, come from Derby. Great team. Always great to deal with. Danny's trainer, Ifan, his uncle, who's been an integral part from the start. Great people to deal with. So good. Again, a great fight. Mitchell Frierson versus Barrage Singh. That was the Southern Area middleweight eliminator. Wow, that just went off from the beginning. Mitchell Frierson and Barra both come to the middle. Both absolutely just went at it.
Yeah.
I give credit to Paul Kavanagh, his trainer. While we're talking about that, I think we need to give some credit to Paul, who's doing a brilliant job with him. So
Absolutely, yeah.
no, Mitchell's really improved. Every time we've seen him his last couple, he's just got better every time.
Yeah.
I think outside the first round, which was I thought quite even, after that Mitchell just took over and just started beating him up, really.
Yeah, just strong, doesn't it? Just outworked him, outpunched him, just out sort of hustled him. And I was surprised when Singh went down when he did, although he was taking shots and obviously was having an effect. He never really seemed overly hurt from one punch per se, but I guess just overwhelmed.
Barrage just overpowered him. But I mean, we made the fight because we thought we'd win. We didn't make the fight because we thought it would. I didn't think he'd win as devastatingly. I thought we would win, but it was the perfect fight for Mitch, and we now move on. And once again, give it a week or so, and we'll work out the next plan of action.
Absolutely,
Steve. I like to moan and criticise you, but you matched that all by yourself. Watched him. And it was great matchmaking. Even Mr. Linus Shadofil saying you might probably made a mistake. So
absolutely.
No, do you know what? The funny thing after the fight is Linus said to me, "You might have made a mistake here," and I said, "I don't make mistakes." And after the fight, Olivia went up to Linus and said, "That's why you don't compete against the Goodwins." And he said, "I'm not stupid. That's why I'm signed with you."
No, it was a good fight. Singh come and played his part of that. Look, I know he was on the end of the, I think 4th round, 6 seconds of 4th round was ended.
Yeah.
He played his part, come out, he was fit. He tried, just
He
unfortunately wasn't his night.
Fit with his trainer. His trainer's not going to produce.
Yeah, Terry Stewart, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
But that's the one thing. That's why I thought that fight might go long, because I knew Paul Kavanagh was going to get Mitchell fit. I knew Terry was going to get Barrage Singh fit. So I thought that might go long, but it was. But he played his part. Barrage, it's great. So let's quickly go through the rest of the card. Lewis Oakford versus Ross McGuigan, cruiserweight fight. That was great as well. Fantastic cruiserweight prospect, 6-round fight. Both guys coming to win. Steve, what was your make of the fight?
I thought Lewis fought well. He didn't bother with a jab. I think he just left the jab at home. But apart from that, he threw bomb after bomb after bomb, and basically just overwhelmed Ross McGuigan, throwing that bit more than Ross did.
Yeah.
Ross didn't throw as much as his trainer Mikey Burke was hoping.
No.
Lewis moves on now. Ross I speak to the fighters after their fight. So Ross, we've got a plan. Lewis now moves on. he takes on Ethan King, a very good cruiserweight who's 2-2, who only lost a point to Nathan Corliss, who's 12-0. So Lewis is now going to test himself once again on the 7th, I think it's 17th of June. So he moves on to that.
Might be 24th.
Might be 24th.
I say I absolutely admire Ross McGuigan.
Absolutely.
He will fight anyone, and
Yeah. Ross McGuigan, it's not the end for
No, absolutely.
It's not the end.
You got to give them both, because Lewis Oakford, that was his second fight, taking on someone like Ross McGuigan, who's just there. Ross McGuigan, Lewis Oakford and Ross McGuigan are the epitome of what a professional fighter should be. Lewis Oakford, people look at that and say, blimey, going Ross McGuigan's second fight so much. People look at Ross McGuigan going, why does he need to fight a prospect who's going to beat a good amateur in his debut? Just both fights are like, yeah, let's just fight. We're just going to fight. You know what I mean? Just credit to them both. And absolutely, we're definitely going to see Ross again. Definitely going to come back. It was a great performance. How far does Lewis Oakford go, and what's next for Ross, Josh?
So Ross saying he's fighting in June.
Ross park the bus for the minute, because Ross we're working on something.
Yep.
Lewis Oakford, as you know, how far does he go? Walks through a southern area, just especially when he brings the jab from home.
Yeah.
And he'll walk a southern area.
Did you say bring the jab from home?
Yeah.
He left his jab at home. He left the jab at home last week.
That was good. Yeah.
Brings the jab from home, so he brings it, and he starts throwing jabs instead of just trying to kill the opponent, which he will do, because it's only his second fight.
Sure,
right?
absolutely.
And Matthew Hurst will work on that with him. And so, no, he'll walk through a southern area. I fancy him. I'd fancy him now to win in English in probably a fight or two against pretty much most of what's out there.
There's some good people.
It's Jamie Smith, Nick Parker.
Jamie Smith, Nick Parker.
Yeah, but I'm not saying he's Jamie Smith, but Nick Parker is. I'd say Jamie's the favourite for that fight. But yeah, we'll sit there and we'll move on. But I think he wins. I think he'll win an English minimum.
It'll be exciting to watch whatever happens.
Yeah.
Joshua Gustav, he fought Robbie Chapman. Joshua Gustav, if you don't know, we talked about it before, winner of the SAS Series 8. Who dares, who wins? Things great for his profile. Paul Kavanagh once again. Robbie's a tough character. Great fight. Robbie came and brought it, and Josh just too much. And again, just
strong, comfortable, threw a lot of
absolutely.
punches, didn't he? Robbie done his job, tucked up, got through it, didn't he? So.
Yeah, and slightly heavier for Josh as well. Slightly had to adjust
Two
the
weights
weight.
above.
Two weights above, so it was a good performance. That he was definitely one to watch if you haven't before. So definitely one to watch beforehand. And then wrapping up the rest of the card, Arthur Nickbau made his heavyweight debut against Jake Darnell, the major, very close friends of you two, and a close friend of Goodwin Boxing. Good to see Arthur back.
Yeah, I absolutely love Arthur. He's just a really nice fella. He actually, I thought he might struggle with the size of Jake Darnell a bit more, but he seemed comfortable enough.
Yeah.
How far he'll get heavyweight, I have no idea. As I said to him on Saturday, and I've said to you and to you both, if he could get down to what he used to be at light heavyweight, I honestly think he'd be a world champion.
Absolutely.
At heavyweight, who knows? It's going to be exciting while it lasts anyway.
Absolutely. Steve?
Nothing to add.
Yep. Okay, so definitely one to watch. Our fan will be out again soon. Definitely one to watch out for.
He's fighting Derby on the 20th of May.
Okay, so he's out in Derby on the 20th of May.
Yeah.
So keep an eye out for that.
By the way, thanks to Scott Callow for putting both him and Sajid on that show.
Yep. So 20th of May in, where's that? Derby, 20th of May. Give that one a look out as well.
I think if we're around, we're heading to Derby that night.
Yeah,
nice.
I'd head up, yeah.
Sajid took me out for a kebab up there once. They do great kebabs up in Derby. Honestly, they're amazing. So hit up Sajid a bit if you want to know where the best kebab houses are. Fred Seckler versus Jordan Grannon. Fred Seckler making his debut.
Impressive.
Very, very good debut.
Impressive.
Yeah, I missed that one. So
Josh, really good. One of the best debuts I've watched. He was really. He's a junior amateur champion. It showed. He has got lots of skills. That kid's good.
Yeah, suppose Jordan afterwards,
very
Jordan said he's very good, hits hard, and very skillful. So he's definitely one to watch. A very, very impressive debut. Definitely one to watch. And then opening the card was Pat Gill versus Casey Bradnam.
another good fight.
Both came to win.
And do you know what? Andy Gill, who got Lewis Frimpong's also, that's his son. Like, I've got to say, Pat didn't have a load of amateur experience, but he is getting better and better and better.
Yeah, I agree. I said to him after, I think that's the best
Yeah, definitely his best
Best
performance for.
He's really developing.
He also trains with a couple of other guys, Pat, as well as Andy as well. So credit to them. They collected them as a team. They're doing a great job. However they're working, it's
Andy done his corner.
Yeah.
But the guys that are working with him are doing obviously a great job.
Absolutely. So that wrapped up the card. BoxMania 4. The fights will be coming up online in the next few days. Keep an eye on that. It was a fantastic card. But talking of fantastic cards, I know we're taking a long time tonight. We're rolling on to the next one. We've got GB Fight Series 15 this weekend.
Yeah.
2 title fights at the top, a 10-fight card as we sit today. Absolutely fantastic. Let's start with, we talked about it before, let's start with the main event. Dennis Stanchek versus Tom Ansell. Great fight.
We've covered it, haven't we? It's just a brilliant fight. And again, we were talking last week about what we're trying to achieve here. We're trying to find shows. I mean, you can't do it all the time. It's not possible.
Sure.
But this is just the 2 top of the bill fights here are brilliant.
Absolutely.
Fights. Brilliant fights.
And creating opportunities for fighters as well.
Yeah.
We're giving people title opportunities, eliminators. We're giving them, opportunities to move into. So that's a fantastic fight. Split down the middle with the people inside boxing. Not for us. We're pretty one-sided with that. But there's people that see it different ways. Peter Merger versus Ryan Walker, the Southern Area Super Bantamweight fight. They fought once before. Ryan was in the home corner, and Pete was in the away corner. Flip the script. Peter Merger is now signed with Goodwin Boxing. He's now in the home corner. Ryan Walker away corner. Ryan Walker is experienced. He'll be confident. He won before. It's just another fantastic.
But let me tell you something here about the fight. So what you've got, Peter Merger's been a bit inactive.
Mm-hmm.
This is his first fight for us.
Yep.
And he hasn't fought for a year. So he's been doing a lot of his work with Mark Massau in the gym.
Yep.
Ryan Walker has been very active, but he's been losing.
Yep.
But he has been losing to some good kids.
He has, yeah.
Including Paul Butler.
Yep.
Somebody else, and then he lost to Jordan Perkis in his last fight.
Yep.
So but he's getting a bit shot worn now. He's lost 3 of his last 4.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't mean, by the way, I think he's finished or anything like that.
Not.
But he has now tasted defeat a few times. So, and Peter Merger is full of confidence. So the question is Peter Merger going to be able to raise his game to beat Ryan Walker this time?
Yeah.
On the basis that he is the fresher fighter.
Yeah.
And he is the guy with more momentum. He's aimed at this fight, whereas Ryan's been taking other fights.
Yeah.
So that's the call on the fight.
Absolutely. It's a really, really great fight. It's difficult to know which way it's going to pay out. Josh, I'm not asking you for a prediction per se, but again, just another fight that should be on TV.
Yeah, no, really good fight. How it goes, I have no idea. But yes, it's going to be one that I'm definitely going to be in my seat watching.
And by the way, this wasn't a... what I say is we go out and we try and select opponents at certain times. This was not a selected opponent.
No.
This was... Ryan Walker was the one available.
Mm-hmm.
If I was trying to navigate Peter Merger possibly and there was a weaker opponent, I would have chosen it.
Yeah,
this is not a weaker opponent that we've selected. This is what we have to deal with.
It's a winnable fight, but it's a hard fight nonetheless. Just quickly, what I want to mention here, we don't stream our shows. So if there's any links posted on social media that says streams our show, they are not our links. They're fraudulent. They're from people trying to take that. So we do not stream our shows. As I talk about fights coming up on the internet, this is after the event. We'll upload them. We do not stream the shows. So again, just to make that distinction. Right, so we'll run through the rest of the card. We've got Jerome Campbell. He makes his return. He'll go Daryl Tapfuma, who always comes to win.
Yeah, and Jerome Campbell's last fight was a points loss to Nick Ball.
Mm-hmm.
Nick Ball's now WBC silver champion. That performance where he managed to get through the rounds with Nick Ball now looks very impressive. Nick Ball is destroying everybody.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jerome Campbell got through it and performed well. And I'm hopeful that Jerome is a fight or 2 away from a title shot because I think he's more than capable of winning a Southern Area title in the next fight or 2.
He's been out for a little while, isn't he? So it'd be good to see what's coming. We want to see
what how sharp he is.
Absolutely.
Like that,
Shoki Khan, he makes again just momentum for Shockey. Keep going. He's been improved in every fight. He takes on George Rogers, so he's looking forward to seeing Shockey back out.
His trainer's retired from giving up boxing at the moment, so he's sort of in between. He's in between situations. But his trainer that he's always had, Josh Burnham, has taken a step back for the time being. So it's not been the ideal preparation for this fight, and he was doing a 6, we're now down to a 4. But I expect to see Shockey. I mean, I think he's improving a lot.
He's got a lot of ability, Shockey. I think he has.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's a long way, but this is a progression fight for him.
Yep, nice guy. George Hennon, late change of opponent. He's always good to watch. Always brings good support. He's got Ilya Markov, a Bulgarian, tough Bulgarian coming over. So George again always brings the action. Very, very sharp. Always brings the excitement.
And he will be at titles super lightweight again.
Absolutely. And Markov is a tough character. It's a good fight for George, isn't it?
It is.
Moving on as well then, Ellis Stewart, he was due to be on last week, he's moved to this week. He takes on Fernando Valencia. Ellis, obviously 2 fights, this will be his 3rd fight, son of Terry Stewart, who we talked about before. Ellis just progressing, again, another momentum fight, just needs to build that momentum. Have you been impressed with what you've seen of him so far, first couple of fights, Josh?
Oh, Ellis has got the attributes, he can clearly punch, he's got decent hand speed. I think you can tell with Ellis, he didn't have a lot of amateurs. I think he's got the attributes to be very good. I think you just got to take your time and gradually build up his opponents.
Absolutely. Agree, Steve?
Totally. I mean, this is just a way of developing the fighter correctly. And the good thing is that we are left to do that by his dad. We know what we're doing. And we'll develop him correctly.
Fernando Valencia is a tough character. He doesn't get stopped very often. We'll ask some questions. It's a perfect opponent for him.
Exactly.
Ronnie Morlock, he's coming on. He's fighting Michael Mooney. Ronnie, not managed by us, managed by Ryan Barrett. He's come on the show. Michael Mooney brings good support. Second fight for Ronnie. Don't know much about him, but
never seen
nice to have him. Nice to have him on the show. Yeah. So that's again Michael Mooney, as we know, very road warrior. Very tough. Always
makes it entertaining to watch.
Yeah, absolutely.
Apparently, he's told Jamie Spate's now doing his training. He's in the corner with him for the first time. Okay, and apparently they've both decided they're coming to win, so it should make it entertaining.
Okay, excellent. That'll be a great fight. We got Ahmed Hatim, who's for all of our shows, a great guy, very, very talented, managed by Mickey Yamu, a friend of ours. He fights Rustem Falkulin.
Yeah. Russian fighter based in Southampton.
Yep.
Agent is Al Siesta. So Ahmed's opponent pulled out on Tuesday this week.
Yep.
So we've had a lot of work to do this week. It's been pretty desperate, but we managed to finalise it all last night, literally. And he's now got a new fight, a new opponent, and he's good to go. 6 rounds. And then we're looking for a big fight for Ahmed in June. Yeah. But he's got to get this one done first.
He's got to get this one out of the way. Mikey Webster Kane, he's on, managed by Graham Everett. Fantastic. He was on our show once before, brought a load of people from the Norwich area. The bus broke down on the way. They did get there in time. It didn't let him stop it. He put on a good performance. Great to have him back on the show. Christian Narvez, good little fighter, Mikey Webster Kane. It's good to have him back on the show.
You saw him last time because I wasn't there at that show. I think you saw him, didn't you?
No.
I see him. You two wasn't there.
Absolutely. The feedback I got was that he's very good.
Yeah, very good. Exciting, comes forward, and great fan base as well. I say they were great to deal with. The team were great to be very professional. Like I say, he was on first in that show, and the coach broke down. He wasn't sure if they were going to get there. He didn't let him affect him. He carried on, stayed professional. So it's great to have him back in. Christian Narvez again is a tough opponent. Doesn't get stopped very often. So it's a great 6-round contest for Michael Webber.
The free fair is he went on first. He's not ours, but he has got a better slot this time.
Absolutely.
The bottom line is when somebody comes on and they're not our fighters, they may go on first.
Sure.
But if they come on multiple times, we try and...
Absolutely. Then we start to treat them almost the same as the thing. And then the late edition this week, as you talked about the Dean White card last week, Yusuf Kamari, obviously who we know, used to be with us, obviously now managed elsewhere, gone on to other things, was on the Dean White show last week, but he's jumped on this week as his fight fell apart last week, and he's got Reece Bellotti, hasn't he, coming up soon for one of the fights. He fights a 6-round fight against Cruz Perez. Again, good to have Yusuf on the card. Another exciting fighter that adds more to this show that the fans are going to come. So if you haven't got tickets already for this weekend, there are still some available. Speak to any of the boxers that's on the card, or you can get them online, www.goodwinboxing.co.uk. Did we mention Adam Thorne?
Yes.
We did. Okay, sorry, I just see my notes.
Mention him again. Thanks, Adam.
Thanks, Adam, for what you do. Yeah, really appreciate you doing the comms on the shows for us. And if we haven't mentioned it, I think that wraps up pretty much everything we've got to do. Long one today. If you haven't, like I say, get down to York Hall on Saturday. Don't forget to buy your tickets. And Predictions League, don't forget Dennis Denchek versus Tom Ansell. Info at goodwinboxing.co.uk if you want to enter. It's got to be in before the weekend to registered. Thank you very much, gentlemen, and we'll catch you next week.
Thank you.